Steve Johnson show. Let me entertain. Hopefully not drop the mic. Hopefully you'll be educated a little bit too. Thank you for coming. First of all, I love your country, not yours. I really do. This is the fourth time I've been here with my good friend Xavier Hibon, writer-director. Some Xavier Hibon for you. I did a movie with him here. I don't know why we're friends. We've been friends for about 10 years. I told you this chair was going to get in my way. So, I don't know what we're going to talk about tonight. Let me first ask you guys a question with a show of hands. How many here are actually in the film industry? Yeah? That's it? The Belgian film industry is so strong right now. What the hell are you others doing here then? You just wanted to come and watch me make a fool of myself, didn't you? Oh, as you've probably heard, some of you, this festival makes you sing and dance on stage, and I have promised the organizers I won't do it tonight. Unless you really want me to.
Yes! Steve Johnson!
Maybe at the end, maybe at the end. So yeah, I don't know what we want to talk about. I think it would be a little bit like ass raping if we go right into the PowerPoint, because you gotta get them excited and lube them up a little bit first. So why don't we talk a little bit before we go into this? Yeah?
Like you want. Exactly like you want. Oh, I really have this metallic voice. So, everyone is comfortable with the English here? Do you need a translation? No. Just hands up for the translation. 2, 3, oh, it's okay, it's okay. It will be okay, it will be okay.
En anglais, s'il vous plaît.
I will translate the principal ideas.
J'habite un petit pas français. Où est-ce que vous habitez, Jacques? J'habite en face de la route de la fromage. That's it.
So, okay. Can you talk about your life, your experience first? Or are you exactly? Because it's always this kind of little story that we like to know.
Talk about my life. I'm 60 fucking years old. Well, I was born on a snowy day on February 7th in Houston, Texas. What the fuck? Okay, I'll talk a little bit. Actually, people always ask me how I got into this industry, and I literally came out of my mother's womb wanting to make stuff. I really did. Never wanted to do anything else when I was a small kid. Even when I was as young as 6, I would steal my grandmother's wigs, because she was kind of senile and didn't really know the difference, and cut the hair off and glue them on my friend's face to turn him into a Lon Chaney werewolf. It made totem poles out of coffee cans. I just always wanted to do this stuff. I was really inspired by the original Universal 1930s black and white monster movies, and also the Hammer stuff. I actually always preferred the Hammer films because I think that in England they're better production designers. They're actually better artists than us. And yeah, that's how it all started. And 6 years later, here I am. Okay, now I can sing.
Okay, and what's the best for the audience? Because you got so many movies in your career, so it will be difficult to talk about everything, but maybe the best is to ask the audience which movie they want to talk about.
No, but before we do that, remember I said you gotta get excited, you gotta lube it up before you shove it in. Let me start by telling you my favorite movie that I've ever worked on, and it's a movie called Magnolia by Paul Thomas Anderson, the writer and director. Have you seen it? And it's not really the effects that I did that I'm so proud of. It was an incredibly, almost impossible technological feat. We made 10,000 frogs that rained from the sky inexplicably. And we had to build huge machines that would throw them down. We had to make animatronic frogs that landed on windshields. We had to do all kinds of stuff. But it's really not my work that I'm so proud of on that film. It's the film itself. It is so good. It's so good. You should watch it again. And the really interesting thing about that film is that it was inspired by the music. The music was written first. which is really, really unique and odd, and I don't know if that's ever happened before at all. Paul was dating Fiona Apple. You know Fiona Apple, right?
Yeah.
And Amy Mann did most of the music, and Amy and Fiona's producer is a really talented guy named John Bryan. So John and Amy and Fiona and Paul would sit up in the Hollywood Hills in their mansion getting high and drinking and write songs for no reason, just for fun, because that's what you do, right? And then the songs started to kind of tell the story, started to inform the story, and so that's how it happened. It happened backwards. And I could talk about Magnolia if you want, but I don't know what we should do. But okay, I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you one really good story about Magnolia. I found, first of all, how do you make 10,000 frogs, right? It's fucking impossible. You got to decide what species, you got to somehow cast them, you got to paint them all. So we made foreground frogs, background frogs, close-up frogs. And we had a sex toy company make them for us, most of them, because we used this, because we wanted them to splat, not bounce. So we used a material that is called thermal gel. It's very dangerous to work with and it takes $20,000 machines to use. So we just farmed out the work to the sex. I'm sure you can imagine what they use it for. Here's the story, though, that I wanted to tell you. I found out that my girlfriend at the time, do you guys know William H. Macy, who's in the movie? Yeah, he plays the guy that wants braces so badly. Great actor, asshole. So I found out on the movie, because my girlfriend was working with me on the phone, that he was fucking my girlfriend. Yeah, and so there's a scene where he's climbing up the stairs when the raining frog sequence starts, and he gets smacked right in the face with a frog. I loaded that fucking frog with 20 pounds of lead weight and threw it myself.
Ok, donc pour ceux qui ont un peu de mal avec l'anglais, je résume un petit peu l'idée. Donc il a parlé de son film préféré en fait, donc le film qu'il a préféré faire c'était Magnolia, donc c'est pas tellement pour les effets.
I don't think we even have pictures of Magnolia, but there's nothing else to talk about. William H. Macy is a dick.
Et juste, donc le défi c'était de faire un maximum de grenouilles pour le film et il y a eu une petite histoire avec William H. Macy. Il s'est pris un petit plaisir à se venger un petit peu sur la séquence. Ok.
Some translation for you! I thought you weren't going to translate.
I can do it.
Okay, so here's the deal. Because there's so much to talk about, I've been doing this now for 40 years. We've got a whole bunch of stuff to show. Do you want to pull up that thing and we'll ask you what you want to talk about? Which movies? That reel that opened the show, you might have noticed, I edited that during my ecstasy days.
There is the official list of movies.
Oh no, this is not official. There are 200 movies, thousands of television shows, hundreds of rock videos.
The official BIFFF.
This is what BIFFF asked me to discuss. But the point is, I did another talk on the future of animatronics in film here with a guy named Pascal Berger. Really nice guy. Do you guys know him? The premier effects artist here. He's really sweet. He's got a great studio. And so we did a talk that was supposed to be on the history and the future of animatronics in film. And we started with The Abyss, and we got through one slide. That's it. We never changed it because we started talking about life and death and God and ayahuasca and artificial intelligence, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it anyway.
How was the ayahuasca?
So, we didn't do ayahuasca on stage. But anyway, what do you want to talk about first?
Vidéodrome, ouais.
Sorry?
Videodrome.
Oh, Videodrome. Good. Let's go. I don't have a whole lot of pictures from it, but again, we'll probably only get through one slide anyway, so it doesn't matter. You know, in America, if you're performing on stage, as a comedian or in theater, it's the only place in public where it's legal to smoke, because it's part of the act. So, does anybody know if I can smoke on this stage? Because it's killing me already. Videodrome, let me tell you a little bit about Videodrome. It's a great movie. It was way ahead of its time. Obviously, you guys like it. You see it? You love it? You obviously do. You want to talk about it? Let's have some applause. Some video drum for you. The movie is so far ahead of its time. It's absurd. I didn't even realize how genius it was when I was working on it at the time, because it was a difficult project. I'll just tell you, Lynn. Some assistants. David Cronenberg is a genius, and if you go back and look at that movie, if you revisit it, you'll see that it actually predicted the future we're living in right now. And he's also a perfectionist, like most people in the film industry, and he literally, what made it hard for us is that he literally would write the afternoon's shot list, what we're going to shoot, rewrite the script in his trailer at lunch, because he just was constantly striving to make it better and better and better and better and better. And actually, I have to say that this was not my film. I was working for Rick Baker on this film. This is a Rick Baker production. But he wasn't even in town. He was in England setting up a studio to do Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan. Have you seen that? Yeah. All those really cool ape suits. So he said, Steve, I trust you at this point. Just make all these effects. And then, of course, he took the goddamn credit for it. Yeah. So let's take a look at a slide. Aha, very convex. Anybody know how we did this? No? All right, okay. There is an elevated stage that is elevated about 8 feet up. So that floor is 8 feet up. And this entire body is a puppet. It's an animatronic that it took about 40 fucking 8 operators to pull this off. It was like, my God, to orchestrate that, because you couldn't do it a second time. I mean, I felt like a conductor. It was crazy. But this eye bulged out, the tongue worked. These tumors, and the tumors in the chest are tumor hand puppets. So there's people wearing them, making them do this kind of stuff. The whole body is fake, except for the arms. The arms come out of the stage, and we had one guy on one side, basically like the Muppets were, doing this arm, the other guy doing this arm. And yeah, it was absolutely crazy. The interesting thing about it, though, is that what I learned, the best thing I learned from working with Rick Baker, is that you know how you always think if you only had an opportunity to do something a second time, you could do it so much better. I mean, in work and in life and everything. So what Rick Baker taught me is to do it. Actually get the time and the money to completely complete the effects once, and then throw them out the window and do it again. So we did this in Los Angeles, and we threw it away and we started all over again, and it was a lot better because of that. Is there anything else funny to say? You know, I think we should just talk about this one slide for the whole show. What do you think? I'll tell you another. I could. We shot this at Christmas, and we used the extra tumors as Christmas decorations for a tree. Next slide, please.